You think about that hot D
forever. I love thinking about that hot D. Or even the pilot. They push that boy out the window. You're like, holy fuck.
So I started recording.
Nice.
So welcome to we're starting with Smile, by the way.
Welcome to the autumnal season of the Cine-Scoots podcast. Autumnal.
What the fuck does that mean?
It is the adjective version of autumn. Young elementary school teacher.
That's some high school teacher shit.
Parts of adjectives?
That specific adjective.
Autumnal.
Autumnal.
Interesting. All right. I'll take it.
Otoño.
Sí.
So today we're actually not talking about the next movie that we saw after our last recording.
Which was?
So we got together, we recorded for, I believe it was like Barbarian.
We did Barbarian.
And then we went to see another lovely feature.
Before Smile?
Female led, female directed.
We did?
This just shows that Thano hates women.
I do not.
Don't worry, darling.
Oh, yeah. So boring.
Such a mid movie that we're not even going to waste our breath.
Here's my review on Don't Worry, Darling. You don't need to see it. Case closed. Right. Like, it's not even bad. It's just bleh.
I was very surprised, though. I was going through my my Letterboxd.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that you were a lot more...
So here's the thing.
Favorable towards it than I was.
Here's the beauty of ranking things, and I think I've always been fascinated with ranking things. Like when I was a kid, I would make PowerPoints just listing my favorite stuff, during summer vacation.
I'm very happy that this did not come out through my nose after I laughed at that. Go on.
Because once I learned that you could copy and paste Google Images, I was like, my mind is blown. What other entertainment do I need? Been fucking around with clip art for this long. Anyway, so I would rank things.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that ranking things is kind of tough because there's very precise factors.
Sometimes things are not 1-to-1. And
a 3 out of 5 is not necessarily equivalent to another 3 out of 5.
Oh, that's not even what I mean.
Right, but there's a kid you could have okay, so teaching the C student who's trying versus the C student who's
not trying. Coasting.
Right. I feel like this movie is the coasting C student. If you look at it, it's technically fine. They do a lot of good camera work.
Technically, it's very good.
Yeah, they do a lot of good camera work. The premise. The premise is interesting enough. Yeah, but it's just a boring movie. So it's a 3 out of 5 for me. Can be either a B or a C, depending on the film. So
I'm usually more favorable with movies.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for me to not like a movie.
Yeah.
If I go back to my Letterboxd and I look at what movies I gave a legitimate bad review, I want to say it's really only been Crimes of the Future this year.
I think I count bad as anything 2 stars or below.
You count 2 stars as being bad?
I count that as bad. Yeah, I count that as bad.
I can give a movie a 2 and be like, I had a good time. I gave Blair Witch a 2 and Men a 2.
I had a good time during Scream. I gave that a 2.
Wow.
But it's a bad movie.
Wow. It's a good movie. Thano is also not a Scream fan. But yeah, Crimes of the Future is the one with
Crimes of the Future
this is a fucking one.
Is offensive. I think I gave that a half.
I wanted to give it a half. I think the only reason why I didn't was because of cinematography wise. I thought it was actually pretty. Okay.
No, ugly and dark. Anyway, so thank you for listening to our review of
Don't Worry, Darling.
We'll be back
next time. And we are back. We are talking this week about Smile. This is the first. Well, it's officially the first movie of the spooky season that I would consider because it's literally the last possible day of September.
Yeah.
Came out September 30th.
Yeah.
I was very surprised by how well received it's been by people.
Yes.
So what I want you to do is, without actually reading the synopsis that we usually paste on the document, what is Smile about?
It's a movie you've probably seen before. In fact,
at least 4 times.
In fact, I want to say there was like a shit tier horror movie recently that had the premise of like people dying and then looking goofy. Like, I think it involves social media.
It's called Truth or Dare.
Yes.
And it had the same concept of smiling.
And I wanted to see that movie, and I didn't for whatever reason. But
it's actually not bad.
That's the same premise of the same review of this movie. It's actually not bad. It's actually a student asked me. They asked me what my opinion of horror was, and I said I love the horror genre because it's a really surprisingly diverse genre. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "What should I see this weekend? Like Barbarian or Smile?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And she's like, "What did you think of Barbarian?" I was like, "Barbarian is boring. Smile is dumb fun." And then she's like, "I could go for dumb fun." And I'm like, "Very good."
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a dumb fun movie you've seen before, but you know what? Do it.
It is in my little blurb on Letterboxd. I specifically made note that this is the most well executed derivative movie I think I've seen.
Yeah.
Like, it's the most unoriginal movie concept alone. Like, it's The Ring.
Yeah.
It's It Follows.
Uh-huh.
It's Truth or Dare.
And it's, in many ways, for me, that's kind of the opposite of Barbarian. Because I think I said that Barbarian was the smartest, most boring movie I've seen. Right? Because, like, or like...
a movie that thinks it's smart.
Yeah, or something like that.
Kind of goes a little too hard on it, right?
Yeah. This is the best movie I've ever seen that thinks it's much smarter than it actually is.
Yes.
Right? Whereas Smile has zero pretense about itself.
Oh, it knows damn well that this is goofy and...
Yeah. And I have even forgotten my major... I know what my major complaint is now, but like...
You had forgotten about it?
I had forgotten about it. Like, it was in my head. I was like, oh yeah, Smile, good time. Could have been better, don't get me wrong, but like it's the type of movie that its flaws, like, they'll disappear over time, and then you might crack that open one day and enjoy a good drinking time with your friends.
Yeah. So the way I like to think of this movie is it reminds me almost like a roller coaster, which is thematically funny because we just went to Six Flags this weekend, right?
Six Flags.
A lot of the time, there's a lot of build-up.
Yeah.
And sometimes it pays off.
Yes.
Example, Raging Bull.
Yes. Sometimes
there's pay-up and there's a couple of good sections, but then overall the experience is kind of like,
yeah,
that was the spooky houses that we went to.
Yeah.
Where nothing was really scary, nothing was unsettling.
No, just long lines.
But there's a lot of...
And out-of-character employees.
Out-of-character
employees.
We gotta find a haunted house that we can go to on, like, just someday, like, quick.
Yeah.
And get spooked and then go home.
If only we lived in a town that had a famous one.
How is that? Completely off track.
I've never been.
I'm not even saying how is it. How the hell do you determine that? Because every single billboard that I see is like the best haunted house in Illinois, best haunted house in the Midwest.
I didn't say best. I just went like well known.
It is very well known.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the movie. It's, if you take it at face value, I think it's best.
When you say face value, what do you mean?
Like, I don't think you watch this movie, like, you watch advertisement for this movie.
Yeah.
And the movie does not pretend it's anything but,
correct.
Hey, you're gonna have something jump at your screen.
Yeah.
Gonna be some loud noises.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be weird and silly.
Yes.
This isn't, like, it's not trying to be Hereditary.
Nope.
It's not trying to be, like, a slasher necessarily.
There was a spot where I thought it actually it was never going to be Hereditary, but there was a spot where I thought it could have been Black Phone. Interestingly enough, I think I mentioned this to you the day of, there were shots that reminded me of Hereditary throughout the film.
We can talk about it in a little bit.
Yes.
Let's go into spoilers.
Yeah.
I would say go see it.
Yeah, see it.
Go see it. Very good. Very fun.
Yeah, see it inebriated. Don't drive. Don't drive inebriated. See it sober. But have a jolly old time. See it with a buddy.
So first, have you seen It Follows?
No, never seen The Ring. Never seen It Follows. Never seen Truth or Dare.
Jesus. You have some, for someone who watches a lot of scary movies with me. You have a lot of gaps in your horror movie. Like,
I didn't really get into horror until maybe college, and then even then, it's hard for me to crack open a movie at home.
Interesting.
Yeah, because
I
have the attention span of a millennial.
I'm a millennial too.
Yeah.
Katie was gone for a week, and I was like, I'm gonna watch this movie. I'm gonna watch this movie.
Oh, it's nice to be home alone.
It
is nice.
It's fun. How much harder a movie will hit when you're by yourself home alone.
Oh, for sure.
Than even in a theater.
Sure. The freakiest thing I've ever experienced was a promo for the movie Signs that aired on ABC. It was called Signs of Fear. I'm in whatever elementary school age.
You're talking about Signs, the Shyamalan movie?
Yeah.
Interesting.
There was a whole special on ABC that was promoting Signs. But it was called Signs of Fear. And, like nowadays, like there's a million cable shows that like do this. But it was like people talked about stories of like alien abduction. But like this one lady was talking about like demonic possession and how she like would wake up with like scratch marks on her back. And I don't remember anything else, but I remember like I was by myself. If not home, no, I wouldn't have been home alone, like as my grandparents would have been home. But like in the basement, so like
relatively separated from everybody else.
And I was freaked.
Yeah?
Freaked.
It'll fuck with you being alone. And so like this movie, like if you had seen It Follows, it's It Follows.
Yes.
Like It Follows is basically, do you know the basis of it?
Is there a spirit that follows people and then
it's basically a whole allegory for STDs. You bang someone and you pass on a curse, and then it follows them, the name of the movie, until it kills them, and then it moves on back to the person. So you have to basically be banging everybody.
When did this come out?
2016 maybe.
Shit.
It's very good. It's shockingly good.
All right.
It's basically that.
Yeah.
It's the Ring.
Yeah.
You watch something, you are cursed, and it's gonna follow you in 7 days. So that's literally in the movie.
Yeah.
Usually a week or so, right?
Yeah.
Smile. The whole gimmicky of the something is smiling at you.
Yeah.
It's basically Truth or Dare.
Yeah.
Right. A spirit is haunting this group of friends.
Right.
Same concept. You have to pass it on to another group of people. You spread it, and it stops kind of fucking with you for a while.
Yeah.
Right. So it's. When someone says this movie is derivative, I'm like, no, I completely 100% agree.
But derivative is not always bad.
It's not always bad. Derivative can be good if done well.
To bring it back to our previous review, I would rather take well done derivative over
badly done original.
Correct.
Yes, or boring original, right?
Yeah. Which is the problem with. I know we're doing a lot of tangential conversation. But it's and I'm the first person bringing it up, but this is the problem with, like, internet nerd culture discussing everything. Because, all right, so Lord of the Rings. Sauron's going to be Halbrand. All right, not confirmed, but he's going to be fucking Halbrand. Gandalf's going to be the, like, Gandalf's...
Oh, you're off the creepy man is Sauron train?
No, I never thought he was Sauron.
There's people on that train.
No, I was... ever since I found out Halbrand could be Sauron, I was like, I'm convinced. And then I kind of bought into the stranger is a Balrog theory, but then they showed the Balrog, so I'm like, oh, not the stranger. And then I'm like, all right, well, it's got to be fucking Gandalf. That's the only thing that makes narrative sense, right? And yes, like some people would just be smart enough to figure that out by themselves. But like that's the thing about online communities is that there's a solid enough group who either wouldn't be smart enough or just who isn't thinking about it that much, who like is only going to find out about it like through the group chats, through the subreddits, and then when the narratively making sense twist happens, they're like, oh, so predictable. And I'm like,
is this like the whole thing with WandaVision, where people are like, oh,
Mephisto.
not just Mephisto, but like Agnes is Agatha Harkness.
And
people are like, well, like fucking COVID.
Yeah.
But like, it's based on the old fucking run of comic books.
Right.
It's not like a super original thing, and this has been talked to death since episode 1.
And it makes narrative sense that like this lady who's here more than the other NPCs would be something.
I see your point. I see what you mean.
And I think even George R. R. Martin said, maybe not him, but somebody said that they're tempted to even like undo their twists because like the internet has figured them out. But that's like bad because that's not good storytelling. That's just you letting the plebes like dictate the story.
Yeah.
So.
Which in a way, I kind of sympathize.
With the plebes or with the...
With that
the
sentiment of like, well, if they're saying this and they're not going to like it,
yeah, for sure.
Why should I entertain that notion if they're going to shit on it?
Yeah, because you want to be liked. But then at the same point, I feel like in the purest sense, which no art is the purest sense, because you gotta sell your shit, right? In the purest sense, you should do what you think is the best storytelling. And therefore, sometimes that's just like... derivative. We have archetypes for a reason. You know, like because they make sense to us. So, you know, derivative is not always bad.
Very good. Yeah. One of the reasons why I think this movie has kind of struck gold in a way is also the way that the Paramount has had a hell of a year.
Yeah.
This is a Paramount movie. They've been making gangbusters with fucking Top Gun,
The Danger Zone,
out the ass.
Yeah.
This movie actually broke I'm not sure if it broke a record, but it's definitely like a huge talking point that out of all the movies that come out this year, it had like it had the smallest like drop. I think it only dropped like 3% in week to week revenue from
Smile
week to Smile.
Interesting.
Which is bonkers.
Yeah, we saw it week 2, right?
We saw it week 2.
Yeah. We were part of the statistic.
We were part of the statistic, and a lot of it has to do with people like it. People are, maybe they're not like, this is the best movie, but it's like, you can go see this. It's a good spooky time movie, right? Where you have other movies that come out, for example, Don't Worry Darling.
Yeah.
They have a relatively okay opening and then ain't nobody fucking show up.
Yes.
Because everybody's talking shit about it.
Yeah.
And also the marketing on this has been pretty good. It's been fucking everywhere.
It was. When I saw the first teaser, I was like 85% sure it was going to be a horror movie. Right? But there's a while where you're like, oh, is this a commercial? And then you're like, I think it's horror, right? I think to me, the second trailer gave too much away.
It did.
But the marketing, is not bad. And you know what? For as derivative as it is, there's something creepy about singing children, right? Which is not in this movie, and there's something creepy about smiling.
It is.
Dinosaurs are cool.
So I didn't get a chance to see it because I don't watch sports. But the whole like marketing they did for this, were you able to watch any of the games where they showed the marketing for this?
I don't think so.
They paid like actors to go to like games. They got seats like right behind home base.
Oh no, I didn't.
And like
know
they
that.
would just like stand and like stare at the screen and smile. And they had a big fucking like bright yellow shirt that said "Smile" and
that's letters. Awesome.
And it's like they know that like this is what's gonna get attention.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
It's a very smart. Like marketing gimmick. And the funny thing about this movie is going in there I had no idea what rating this would be. Because this could work as a like super cheesy PG-13 for like the kiddos.
Yeah.
Or in the case of this movie, like it could actually go with like an R rating.
Hard R.
Which it didn't need a hard R rating if you think about it. The only real reason why this movie is hard R is because it's got a whole bunch of fucks in it.
The kills are gruesome.
We only really see...
You see the first one.
The first one is the one that's like, this is kind of unsettling. Yeah. And I think you need that to set the scene.
Yes.
But I think overall, everything else is off-screen enough.
Enough, but still. I don't know, the security tape scene, I think those are pretty gruesome. It's an interesting choice to have them through the lens of the security tape, because I think that does kind of diffuse them a little bit.
So for anyone who hasn't seen this, who I mean, again, I know a couple of people do listen.
Yeah. We mean a couple million people.
A couple million people. But Sosie Bacon, who plays Rose, she's trying to figure this out, right? So she does find those tapes.
Right.
And, you know, for the life of me, I can only remember the guy who stabs himself with the scissors.
There's something else.
I know we see a brief shot of the guy's face after he beat the shit out of himself with the hammer.
Yes.
And then we see someone in an elevator, I think, with their eyes gouged out.
Yeah. Do we see her do it, or do we just see?
We don't see it. We don't see them do it. Yeah. It's kind of grainy. So all those things, while it's kind of nice that we get to see it because it's an R-rated movie, you could totally kind of edit those a little bit, and this movie can completely work PG-13.
There was one I felt I knew it was going to be R in the main trailer when they show, which is not actually a kill, but when the sister knocks on the car door and then you see
on the fucking head.
Yeah.
Which is a great scare that I kind of wish was not spoiled. Because even in the movie when it happens, it is very creepy.
Yes.
But that's still a PG-13 kill. Or a PG-13 scene because there's no blood, there's no...
Oh, interesting.
No gore. You can get away.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about in Werewolf by Night too.
About how much they get away with.
About how much you can get away when things are obscured.
Yeah.
Or even just in black and white.
Excellent obscuring in Werewolf by Night. There's some nail picking, right? There's the dead cat.
That made me so sad.
So sad.
Dude, dead cat. Oh.
The scene with the demon at the end and her setting herself on fire, maybe that could push.
But even that, she sets her, and what we see is the reflection of the guy.
Right. Is it, so for R rating, can you have an amalgamation of those and there's just so many PG-13 kills that they'll bump it up to R? Or do you have to cross a threshold?
From my understanding of how this works is... You're allowed to have X amount of blood on screen.
Yeah.
Or dismember. As soon as you start getting into dismemberments, that's when you're starting to push that PG to R.
Yeah.
But blood is usually a big one.
Yeah.
Physically seeing a wound being made.
Being made, okay. Which we saw.
We do see. Yeah. That's the first.
Which we saw.
The first kill on its own, I think, is what really gives this movie the PG, from PG to R rating, right? How do you feel about the character of Rose?
So this might get into my issue that I had with the movie at the end.
Go for it.
I think she's likable. It's once again, it's not a story that we haven't seen before. It's kind of a Harley Quinn story a little bit, not in terms. Well, in terms of your doctor character who's smart, reasonable, go-getter, comes face to face with the supernatural or the unnatural, and then that undoes them, right?
Sure.
Not groundbreaking, but also enjoyable, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm getting too ahead of myself. So the movie begins with someone passed out in a bed. Yes. With pills, and you're like, something's wrong. And I was watching, I'm like, is this the doctor? Is this the patient? Is this someone else? As time goes on, you learn it's the mother of our main character.
Mm-hmm.
And you learned that she had committed suicide, right? And you're like, this is a kind of a generational trauma.
Yeah, she had OD'd, right?
Yes, she had OD'd. What I actually found fascinating, and I kind of wish it went another way, what I found fascinating was when our main character enters the cabin, goes to confront the whore, walks into the bedroom, is met with the scene of her mom ODing, and her mom's like, get help, and the girl is like, nah. And I was like, that to me, in that moment, this film was a level 6 of interesting, and we moved up to an 8. Because
Sure.
I'm like, that is, for a child to be able and it fits because she's so smart, right? So for a child to know, like, you know what, my life kind of sucks with you, like,
that's interesting.
I'm not gonna help you, and then also you're a child, so you don't grasp, like, no child can grasp the full weight of the consequences of that, right?
So,
yeah,
I don't wanna interject too much, but like, I don't remember her saying like flat out. I remember her shutting the door and like running away, like screaming.
I feel like she said, like, you're scary or something like that, yeah. Or like, but it was clear.
I think it's like I think she lives with the guilt that she could have helped and didn't.
And she conscientiously chose not, like, she realizes
so
something.
There is a conscious effort for her to go. I'm a walk away.
Right, like she wasn't being a pussy as a child. She was like, no, like, you're better off away. Okay. And I was like, oh, that is really interesting. And there is some stuff I kind of wish that happened with that we can get into now or later. But that to me is what really made me invested in, like, this character specifically.
And I think the movie would be better for it if that is the interpretation. Yeah. I would have to go back and rewatch that now with that idea in mind.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, again, we're talking endgame stuff here, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't beat this thing.
No.
And I kind of wish she had.
Same. But I wish she did it in a very unique way. But continue.
So, well, my point is, if that is a thing of her facing her trauma, this thing showing her what she did, and her basically going, no, fuck you. Like, I was a kid. I was 10. Yeah. What the fuck was I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I'm not equipped to handle this. If that is maybe how she's beats, because they do say, I think it's the guy who beats himself with the fist with the hammer, who talked to his wife and said it needs the guy in jail says it needs to be passed with trauma.
Yep.
So if the way to defeat this thing is to overcome
your trauma,
your biggest trauma, which is arguably very hard for people to do.
Yeah.
I think that could be a more cathartic ending and just makes it hit better.
And then maybe the theme of the movie is, sometimes, just facing your trauma isn't enough, and it'll get you anyway.
I guess.
And you know what? Fair. I think to really pull it off, the movie would need to be a little more competent.
Fair.
But I kind of... All right, so since we're on the subject, okay, there's a tangential complaint that's still related. I feel like this movie has too many endings.
It does.
Like, I think I watched Return of the King within 48 hours, and I was like, God damn, like, both these movies have, like, 5 fucking endings.
It does feel like it goes on for too long.
Yes. And not just go on for too long, but, like, okay, we could have ended here.
Especially with the fake out.
Yeah, okay, we could have ended here. And it's like a double fake out, at least.
Yeah.
At least. So, she meets the mom. She meets the mom, right? The revelation has happened. She tells the mom no or whatever. Then the mom turns into the monster for, like, the first time.
Yes.
And then there's the fight and then the blowing up of the thing. And at that point I was like, oh, spoiled it. Forget everything else.
Spoil it!
Forget everything else that happens. But I was like, I would love to see her not just defeat her drama, but, like, there's many ways to handle pain. And it doesn't always have to end in an explosion. Like, sometimes you can put your pain away quietly. And you can be like, yes, like, it sucks. Like, I wish this didn't happen to you. But you know what? Now that I'm, like, reliving that moment, like, I get why I made the decision that I did. And I'm just not going to let you have control over me anymore. And I don't know how you would have filmed this. Maybe, like, show that it's starting to turn. But then, like, it has no actual, like, power to turn because she's so zen or whatever. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've got problems, no solutions. But like end it before it even gets to, like, the big CGI battle in the house, right? Once you get to the first CGI battle, then I'm like, okay, we've been here before. This was the Conjuring, right? Like, it was a Transformers movie, and then the twist, which interesting, like. I don't know how long you want to go into this, but like I feel like we could have a whole conversation about race in this movie because I was like, oh, there are some choices.
There are some choices. We have a lovely young lad.
Yeah.
By the name of
A-Train.
A-Train, or to use his God-given name, Jesse T. Usher.
Yeah.
Listen, I get it.
Yeah. There are some quotes that I'm trying to remember from this movie. Oh.
There's one where she's like, "Are you contacting my doctor? You research my trauma." He's like, "If I'm gonna be married to you,
yeah,
I need to know what I'm getting myself into."
He has that. He's like, "I did research. You could pass on mental illness genetically." I was like, "Oh shit, really?"
Yeah.
And then from the nephew, what's his friend's name? It's like Harper, the nephew. Like Gracias, Harper.
Oh my God! Yes.
I died.
I forgot about that. But all right, so before we go, but one of the things that I will say though about this movie is I think, and this is more of a testament to the actress, right?
Yeah.
Sosie Bacon does a really good job of making you feel like, yeah, you can go fucking bonkers in less than a week.
Yeah, you can.
Like just having your fucking cat mustache show up dead in a box is enough to fuck your shit up.
Yeah.
And I think believably, you can see this going from this is a very well put together woman.
Put together.
Yes, she has her issues. Obviously, everybody does.
Yeah.
But this thing is driving you insane.
Yep.
Because a lot of times I'm like, well, it's only 7 days.
Yeah.
If you watch something like The Ring, these people by day 7 they're just the same.
Yeah.
Like they are not. They don't feel like they are in mental distress.
Yeah.
This girl looks
she definitely
fucking rough
yes.
by the end of this. So that's good on her. I also think in this movie, one of the things that I guess is that goes against it is there's a lot of actors that I feel like are underutilized. Like Cal Penn did not need to be there.
No, that was a high profile.
That was a high profile. I honestly think you could combine the boyfriend or the fiance. You could even those two.
Yeah.
And then have the cop.
The cop still be the cop.
Still be the cop.
Yeah.
Because I love the cop, by the way.
Yeah, that's the first time Javi said that word, but yes.
That's the first time. That's the first time I've ever heard
said that
words.
phrase. Yeah.
But
he's a good dude.
Him.
He's a good dude.
He looked silly at first. And, I know you made a comment. You're like, these are the most uncop looking cops.
They were the most uncop looking cops.
But maybe it's because this movie is portraying the cops as actually being cool. So
maybe. Yeah.
The kid's name is Jackson, by the way.
Gracias, Jackson.
Gracias, Harper. God damn.
Yeah.
I don't know. I enjoy this movie. I think it's a good movie to add to spooky season repertoire.
Yes.
Like if this shows up on the streamer, I'm assuming it'll be on Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
By next year, I would make Katie watch this next Halloween.
I would love to do a study of this movie. All right, so this can't even be groundbreaking anymore because AI has advanced so much since then. Mm-hmm. But I remember my first year of grad school, I learned that there are people study entire genres of literature.
Sure.
Using AI that basically uploaded all the text into a server, and then or into a program, not a server, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Uploaded into a program, and the program was able to just read the words, and it was able to plot out where in these dime novels, which are typically all 115 pages. The climax typically happens on page 75.
Okay.
This beat typically happens 25% through. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I feel this movie is just such a product of the current era and brand of horror. Like I said, there's at least 2 shots that kind of remind me of Hereditary.
Mm-hmm.
That I would love to see this in the greater constellation of its contemporaries. And be yes, horror in the late 2010s, early 2020s was this. And you can see these specific beats across the board.
So one of the things that I find fascinating about this movie is that it's a movie in the style that hasn't happened in a while, where it's a full-length movie based on an internet short.
Yeah.
Like, that was
that's
really
a thing.
common for a while.
Yeah.
There's a movie that I haven't seen it yet, but I love the short. It's called Lights Out.
Okay.
I remember when I was subbing at East one year, it was
Yeah.
around Halloween time. I was like, kids, I'm gonna scare the shit out of you. And I played that for the girls, and they were freaked.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that they filmed the short.
Yeah.
People were like, this is really good. Let's make
a movie.
A movie of it,
Yeah.
right? This is the same thing.
Yeah.
I think it's the girl who plays the patient.
Okay.
I think she's the girl in the short.
Oh, interesting.
So, which is nice. It's
Yeah.
nice that they brought her in for this.
Yeah, for sure.
And in a way, I kind of like that they take these people who they see something that they like, and they're like, hey, we're just gonna give you.
Yeah.
This movie is really very cheap overall.
Like, as stupid as it is, that's what happened with that whole Fresh Prince spin-off. And I was like, all right, props to Will Smith, which is a sentence that hasn't been uttered in a while.
In at least 6 months or so.
Yeah, but I mean that's cool. Like you gave the young artist you gave them the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, right? So this is not going to change anytime soon. Right? So
Will
you have that too, right? But like this movie, like $17 million.
Yeah.
It's been out for 2 weeks. It's made $100 million.
Yeah.
This movie, that's
Yeah.
it's only gonna probably go up
For sure.
because
Go down.
Well, but it could like completely like flatline.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like this movie is probably going to make quite a bit more between now and the end of the month.
Yes.
Right? So this is just telling people like this is what people want to see. Like,
Yeah.
It's very clear that this is what people want to see.
Yeah.
So I think, as far as like schlocky, safe, this is a very safe movie, I would say.
Yes.
It doesn't take any huge risks.
Correct.
I honestly think the ending of this movie is a result of they screened it and people were like, oh, the end needs something more.
Yeah.
And that's when they were like, oh, well, grab the gasoline.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Right.
So I think overall, pretty solid.
Yeah.
And people like it. It actually has matching Rotten Tomato scores for audience and critics.
Oh, there you go.
78%.
There you go.
So good for them.
That's reliable. When it matches, that's a reliable assessment of the film.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think there's good consensus there. Anything else that you would like to say before we wrap up our 37-minute?
So interesting. As I'm watching, and like I'm a religious person, so I'm just like more attuned to this.
Sure.
But I was like, ain't nobody going to a church, right? And that's like not that it needs to happen, but it's like, oh, I'm cursed. And I'm like, y'all need to get to
your first
San Pio, right?
San Pio, is that church?
There's like some Catholic thing. I think Shia LaBeouf made a movie about him, Padre Pio, San Pio. I don't know, but I just uttered a name. Yeah,
I see.
And I was like, y'all need to go to church.
How do you say church in Greek?
Ecclesia.
Ecclesia.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's iglesia.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay, cool.
So, like I think that's just a topic about the current genre because as I like to say, Hereditary is also known as These White People Need to Go to Church the movie.
Yes.
But these white people never go to church the movie.
There is a movie called Men.
Yeah.
The movie is essentially Men Are Evil the movie, which fair. Girl goes to church and it don't help.
Oh no, I would imagine
the
not.
priest is rapey.
Yeah, so I would love to see as I mentioned before, like looking at this in the current moment of horror films, I would just love to see an assessment of what role religion is playing, if any, in like modern horror movies.
Interesting.
But yeah,
I think a satisfying ending for this before I completely forgot about this. Right? How to beat this thing? What happens if she just like fuck it, I'm just gonna kill myself?
I thought she was trying to do that privately for a while. I thought she was trying to kill herself privately.
Because honestly, I think that would be how you break it, right? Yeah. This thing can't spread if it doesn't.
Yeah. If nobody sees.
Right. Advertise your death.
Yeah.
Just fucking off yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at that.
There you go. Case closed.
Case closed. All right, everybody. So this will go out very soon, and then we will also have an episode on Werewolf by Night, the newest MCU endeavor.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think Eeyore could beat this monster?
Eeyore?
Winnie the Pooh.
Dude, Eeyore would off himself in the heartbeat. He'd be like, I just...
In front of everybody? But Eeyore is just so naturally depressed that I feel like maybe he could just take it. He's like,
yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
Well.
Good sequel.
Good sequel. Yeah. All right, everybody. Until next time, he is Thano.
He's Javier.
And we'll be back later. Bye.
Bye.